Welcome to the Banning Liebscher podcast. Great to have you. Listen, here's what I've realized, guys. I haven't put a podcast out for a while, so I thought I would officially put a podcast out to those that have subscribed to the Banning Liebscher podcast. I realized that my podcast is a little bit scattered on some of this stuff, but really what my heart is for this podcast was just to come alongside people, strengthen, encourage. This is our mandate. I have a mandate to mobilize the body of Christ for revival in our day. And the Lord just told me early on that he just wants me to, he just said, will you encourage them, equip them, send them? And so that's really what my heart is. Anything we do, anything you see that we touch, my goal is that people would leave full of faith, full of courage, equipped to actually go do what God's called them to do, and that you would be burning to see revival in our day. And so I don't know how many we did of the Banning Liebscher podcast, just a 20-minute me talking. But here's why I'm doing this last official one, for now at least, is because we've actually restarted and relaunched the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast with my co-host, Becky Johnson.
It's true. We never thought this day would come. I thought we were done forever on the JCLP.
We're resurrecting it.
We resurrected
like Jesus rose from the grave 3 days later. We rose from the grave 3 years later.
Wow, that's prophetic.
The number 3.
We were in the belly of the beast for 3 days, 3 nights.
So Becky, as I shift from the Banning Liebscher, so we were doing I was doing a weekly Banning Liebscher podcast, and now I'm going to shift that focus over to me and you doing the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast. Why is the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast, in your opinion, going to be better than the Banning Liebscher podcast?
Wow.
Why should the people that have been listening faithfully every week until I just abandoned them a few months ago, listening, why should they tune into the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast?
Clearly, I'm a part of it. So the Banning Liebscher podcast was lacking sorely. Me.
Solo. Just solo banning's not as good.
Yeah, exactly. I think conversations are better. 2 minds are better than one. We're going to have guests. It's longer. There's history. We have history at the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast.
There you go.
So I think it's going to just add to people's lives so much more.
Yep. So if this just randomly popped back up into your feed after a while, wondering what's going on, here's why. If you've been listening to this weekly podcast, we are officially relaunching a weekly version of the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast. We're going to be talking leadership, life. Really, honestly, if you're hungry to grow, I just want to come alongside people and say, let's have the conversations to somehow stir something in you. And I've said this a lot, but I want people to be provoked and encouraged simultaneously. I want you to walk away going, I feel so challenged and I feel so full of courage. I feel so provoked, and yet I feel so full of hope and faith as well. So that's what we're doing. So Becky, I guess really welcome. We won't tell this to anybody, but the Jesus Culture Leadership podcast is really just the Banning Liebscher podcast that we're kind of letting you be a part of.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Cut.
That's how it works.
Cut.
All right, guys.